Good Monday, listeners. It's Monday, pause short September, pause short 15th, 2025, and today we're doing something special, a deep dive into one consequential immigration policy story that's unfolding across Texas and touching families, investors, and communities, Texas Senate Bill 17, known as SB 17. This episode is a focused, thorough look at what happened, why it matters, and what could come next. We'll walk through the what, the why, and the real-world implications, with careful attention to the people most affected by this law and the policy decisions behind it. If you're tracking changes in immigration, property ownership, or state-level security debates, this is one story you'll want to hear in full. Before we begin, a note. We'll reference a few official sources as linked in order of appearance, so you can explore the documents for yourself and understand the legal frame shaping these decisions. Now, let's dive in and stay with me as we map out the landscape and the stakes of SB 17. Texas has put into effect one of the toughest state property laws aimed at foreign ownership in recent memory, reviving debates over alien land laws and stirring concern among immigrant communities and real estate markets. Senate Bill 17, which took effect on pause short September, pause short 1, 2025, bars people, companies, and government-linked entities from China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea from buying or otherwise gaining an interest in real property across the state. The law reaches residential homes, commercial buildings, farms, ranches, and even long-term leases, with narrow exceptions. Supporters frame the law as a national security measure meant to protect strategic assets. Opponents say it revives a troubling history of discriminatory policy, will chill lawful activity, and unfairly targets Chinese nationals and other immigrants who are already part of Texas life. The scope is sweeping. It covers direct and indirect ownership, including partial interests, leases of 1 year or longer for covered persons and entities, and a broad range of property types including residential, commercial, agricultural, and long-term lease transactions. Yet there are exemptions and allowances. U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents are fully exempt. Certain individuals lawfully in the United States on valid visas, pause short, may, pause short purchase one Texas homestead if they intend to live there, and leases shorter than 1 year remain allowed. Enforcement tools were described in the drafting materials as well, signaling a serious approach to compliance and penalties. With that frame set, let's turn to the human side of this policy. First, who is affected? The practical impact lands on foreign nationals from 4 countries, along with entities tied to them, who aim to own or control real property in Texas. Those trying to invest, establish a home, or run a business in rural, suburban, or urban Texas, pause short may, pause short face a new hurdle, particularly if they rely on complex ownership structures, or if they come via visas that don't qualify for the nearing exemptions. Real estate brokers, lenders, and attorneys describe a chilling effect in some markets, where fear of inadvertent violations slows otherwise routine transactions. Community groups raise concerns about discrimination and the erosion of property rights that families have counted on for generations. On the policy side, supporters argue this is about preventing sensitive property from ending up in hands that could threaten critical infrastructure or national security, especially given the global tensions and deterrence considerations that have shaped U.S. strategy in recent years. Critics, meanwhile, point to historical echoes of alien land laws that have been used to justify exclusion and segregation, arguing that the law risks targeting a broad swath of people based on nationality rather than conduct. The result is a complex, mixed landscape where law, security concerns, and personal livelihood intersect in real time. What led to this moment? Texas has long served as a bellwether for how states address questions of ownership, security, and immigration status in a rapidly changing global economy. The decision to restrict property purchases by nationals from 4 countries reflects anxiety about strategic assets. Think infrastructure, land near critical facilities, or land adjacent to sensitive operations, and a broader pattern of state-level actions responding to perceived national security concerns. It's not happening in isolation. Texas is part of a wider conversation about housing affordability, foreign investment, and the line between national security and personal liberty. The law's supporters emphasize the safeguarding of critical assets and the sovereignty of state-level governance. Opponents call for nuance, arguing that broad restrictions risk unintended consequences, including higher costs, delayed projects, and a chilling effect that could deter lawful investment and settlement. What might come next? Legal challenges, all likely, as groups question fairness and constitutionality, as well as the practical enforcement mechanisms the state has chosen. Stakeholders will watch to see how the exemptions are applied in practice, how much enforcement is conducted, and whether the policy adapts to changing geopolitical realities or to concerns raised by courts, businesses, and communities. There's also a broader trend to monitor. If Texas moves this way, how will other states respond? Will there be refinements to narrow who is affected, or potential legislative amendments to address concerns about discrimination and unintended economic impact? In the meantime, families, investors, and service providers will navigate a more complicated landscape for property and residency planning in Texas. Why does this matter for listeners? SB 17 sits at the intersection of immigration status, property rights, and national security policy, the kind of policy choice that ripples through housing markets, livelihoods, and community cohesion. It forces individuals to reevaluate long-held assumptions about what constitutes safe and lawful investment, who can buy a home, and how state action aligns with federal immigration norms. Whether you're a prospective buyer, a real estate professional, a policy watcher, or someone who cares about fair treatment under the law, this episode pulls back the curtain on a decision that reshapes everyday life in Texas and signals how states are defining security in a global, interconnected world. As you think about where this story goes next, remember the human stakes: families trying to build homes, investors adjusting plans, and communities navigating a policy that can redefine what it means to own property in a state that's always been a land of opportunity. For more context, continued updates, and analysis on these evolving rules, you can pause long, visit visaverge.com for ongoing coverage and resources. Thanks for joining me as we walk through the layers of SB 17, what it means now, and what it might become in the months ahead.